So in the last video, we constructed our bass lines to go with our kick and our clap. So the next thing I want to focus on is adding some hi-hats and cymbals to really add some energy to the track. The first sound I've got is a rich stereo hi-hat, here being triggered off in the EX24. There's a clap, a slightly more wet hi-hat, a crash, another hi-hat, and we can then start building some real rhythmic quality to this track. So let's start off by adding an offbeat hi-hat. I'm just going to bring up the virtual keyboard here in Logic so you can see me triggering it off my MIDI keyboard here. Okay, all set. Let's record that in. Just going to adjust the loop region here. So let's move on to a slightly more wet hi-hat that gives a bit of stereo spread and a bit of depth to our offbeat hi-hat. So I'm just going to try some ideas out here. Yeah, I think something like 3 hits to support the first 3 of the 4 would really work. So let's record that in. I think the first take was fine there, so I'm just going to clip the region and delete these 2 parts and then extend the loop. So let's add a bit more weight to our clap sound. As you can hear, it's got quite a lot of texture and depth to it, so we'll add an awful lot to our current clap. I've also got a reversed version in case I need it. So let's record something in. I might try a little flick towards the end to add a bit of interest. So I'll just tidy up the loop here. And I'll just double check the MIDI notes here, make sure everything's in place. It sounds great though. So let's press on and experiment with some of our other sounds. Got another wet hi-hat here. I think I could use this in syncopation with the other wet hi-hat, fill the gap where it stops on the 4th beat underneath the other offbeat hi-hat. Yeah, I definitely think we can utilize that just around here just to fill the gap. So I might just try a couple of versions and then record that in. That sounds good. What I might do is go into the piano roll and just put on the C16 quantized swing just so it gels just a little bit better with the rest of the sounds. It's slightly too high in the mix for me, so I'm just going to pull back the volume fader just a tad, just to get it to sit with the other hats. So let's move on to another sound. This is a hi-hat that I've created and it flicks between left and right in the stereo field. I'm going to place this on the downbeat because it will really create a sense of energy and give a huge amount of drive to the track. So I'll just bring up the piano here within Logic so you can see me triggering off on my MIDI keyboard and then we'll record that in. All looks good in the piano roll, happy with that. So I'm just going to adjust the loop area. So I think we could do with a bit of a signature when the 4-bar loop ends. So we can utilize the crash here. So I've got this in an EX24 as well. So let's record that hit. So just quickly adjust the loop region. I think we can add even more depth and space to this crash sound. So we're going to utilize the send and returns again. And I'm going to send it to the delay here, which is the tape delay. And just give it a little bit of send. And as you can hear, it then sort of gently delays off using the tape delay here. I think there's a little bit of clashing going on now I've added the hats. I think the original clap we had might need a little bit of tweaking, so I'm just going to go to the EQ on that track and just bring up the channel EQ here. I've got a dip there already. It's a slightly sharp edge to the loop here. This helps things just sit together a little bit better. So very happy with the sounds that we've created with the hi-hats. The track's really coming together now. I think we can actually look at some melodic elements now. So let's start with a basic synth plug. This is just using the retro synth. And I've got an overdrive here I'm just putting on it, just to give it a bit more character. Followed by a channel EQ, just rolling off some of the low end. And then a compressor, just gently compressing the sound, just controlling some of the dynamics so we get a consistent sound as we're playing it in. As you can see, the attack is fairly short, but it's still letting through enough bite that we get a nice crunchy pluck sound. So I'm just going to play around with some ideas, see if I can come up with anything that might work with the bass elements that we've already got. I think something along those lines works quite well. I think I'm just going to go for it and record what I feel seems to be working just straight in. Then we can just go into the piano roll and do some adjustments if we need to. So I'm just going to bring up the inbuilt keyboard again so you can see what I'm playing in. And then we'll record something in. I think I'll have another go at that because I don't think I captured the feeling that I wanted there. Yeah, I think that's something to work with. So I'm just going to adjust the loop region here and then go into the piano roll. And I might start moving around some of these MIDI notes, see if I can get a slightly better groove than we currently have. So I'm not sure about these top notes here at the end. Might just play around with some different variations and see if we can make something a bit different. I kind of want to make it quite interesting. At the moment, it's a little bit lackluster. Parts of it really work. So I'm just going to continue to tweak until I get the result I'm looking for. Yeah, I think that's sounding good. It's starting to work well with our other elements. I'm just going to highlight all the MIDI notes and apply a quantize to them. So at the moment the sound is quite good, but I think it's lacking a little bit of depth and a bit of interest. So I'm going to utilize the send and returns. I'm going to add some chorus to it. And as you can hear, it's already added some extra width to the sound. And let's add some delay to it to really help it sit within the mix a bit better, so it's not as dry and as harsh as it was. Again, we got our compression here, just helping tidy up some of the dynamic notes and giving the hits a little bit more consistency. And I'm gonna fire off the sidechain compressor I've got, similar to the bass lines, just helping leave room for the kick to punch through the mix. So we've added our cymbals and hi-hats, and we've started with some synth sounds. In the next video, we're going to look at adding some more melodic elements and some effects.